So woke versus unwoke. I think the first thing we have to go back to is the context of the terminology of woke. And this comes from the early 1930s in the African American community when we were trying to warn each other about which cities we needed to be most vigilant in the South. Because you may or may not know this, but it was not always safe for um, African Americans to travel freely throughout the South in the 1930s and 40s, in the Jim Crow era, because of lynchings and just being arrested by police, beaten, Ku Klux Klan threats. So there's a lot of threats that were happening to African Americans in the 1930s, and so a popularized song came out in 1938 that popularized the term "stay woke," and so that's where it comes from, the emanation of the terminology "stay woke." So when we say woke, we're talking about vigilance, we're talking about awareness, we're talking about understanding. So to say unwoke would be the opposite of woke. So then you're talking about carelessness. You're talking about being asleep or not understanding. And so when you ask me the question, woke versus unwoke, I think that the answer is always woke, because to be unwoke is to be purposefully ignorant to what's happening around you. And I don't think that, especially African Americans, we don't have the privilege of being unwoke. Now, there may be some other groups in our society that have the privilege, or maybe being unwoke is actually beneficial to them. So I'll give you an example of woke versus unwoke that will hopefully make it home to you. Thanksgiving dinner. So Thanksgiving dinner prior to the 1990s was probably the same kind of meal. You have, turkey, you have stuffing, you have your vegetables and your sides, you have some cornbread, you have some rolls, some sort of pies, maybe an apple pie, pumpkin pie, whatever kind of pies you like. And so that was kind of the static nature of Thanksgiving for a long time. But then let's think about Thanksgiving in 2025. Well, we have gluten allergies, we have people with sensitivity to, we have vegetarians, we have pescatarians, we have vegans, we have different just taste. People like turkey, people don't like turkey. And so to be more inclusive in 2025 means to create a table where more people can experience a better meal together at this table. So the question for us really is, do we want to have the same cast of characters around the table who eat the same types of food? Or do we want to embrace difference and say, actually, although it may be a little bit more difficult to create a meal for all these different types of preferences, the meal itself ends up being more diverse. And I end up having a better time because I get to experience things that I wouldn't have normally experienced during this traditional Thanksgiving meal. And so basically the unwoke meal is people saying, well, we don't want to have gluten-free or pescatarian or vegetarian or vegan options on our table for Thanksgiving, even though these people may exist in our families. So we're saying that we're basically saying, for our convenience and our comfort, we would rather not have to cook different things to make Thanksgiving a good experience for everybody involved at the table. As we know, tastes change, desires change, preferences change over time. So basically, what we're saying by saying unwoke is that basically we would not want to prepare a meal that everybody could enjoy at the table. We'd rather force people to have to eat the same old thing every year and not have any progress at all when it comes to our Thanksgiving meal. So that's a very simple analogy for what I think about woke versus unwoke. But if you take the meaning of what I'm trying to say, it does come down to recognizing the reality that we live in a world of difference, and we live in a world of preferences, and we live in a world of different needs. And especially for leadership, if we want to be effective leaders today, we can't just say we're going to be unwoke to the needs of the people that we have to lead. It's literally untenable, because population dynamics will not allow us to only hire one type of individual, one type of race or generation or ethnicity or sexual orientation. That actually doesn't exist. So we're going to have to embrace a different type of Thanksgiving dinner moving forward if we're going to succeed in business today. And so really that's what it comes down to, woke versus unwoke for me.